Welcome. Most households probably have one of these. They come in all shapes, sizes, and material. This is your classic wood pepper mill. And coming up, I'm going to show you how to make one. We begin by choosing a piece of wood like this. I've chosen juniper, but it can be any type of wood as long as it's 3 inches in diameter and 14 inches long to make a pepper mill 12 inches tall like this. So now let's take it to the lathe and turn it. First of all, center the piece of wood in both ends. As close as you can and tighten firmly because it's a rough piece of wood. And I leave my center of my rest in the middle. Nothing's running there. So now we're going to rough cut it with a big gouge. Just tighten this every once in a while because it's rough. Fairly round. Move my rest down to the end. Make sure nothing hits. Speed it up a tad. Use a little gouge, square the end. Got to taper that a little bit just to make it fit in the chuck. That's all we need there. Now I'm going to go in the bottom about 5/8 of an inch to make room for the mechanism. Far enough. I have a cavity there in the wood that is not my best friend. So I'm going to shorten that. This is why it's important to have a little extra wood. Sometimes you need an extra inch or two because of where the ends are. But anyway, I can see a hole there, so I really don't want that into my material or into my product. So I'm going to take that off. better. Okay. Drill a hole. But first we have to put our chuck in, which is easy. Tighten that real good. This away. Is a 1 1/16 Fosner bit. As close to the center as possible. And then slow it down a bit. Keep cleaning the hole so it doesn't pile up. The bit was binding a bit there, so we have to clean the hole out. Sometimes I do it by emptying it, but I have a stick here and just clean that hole. I can hear the end. Now I change to a different length of 1/16, 1 1/16. Oops, I got the binder again. That doesn't happen normally, so the wood must be a little grain. I took a little bit too much. And now I got to measure my distance is 9.5, we'll say, right to that line there. So I got to go that deep. got that. I've got to saw this off, or cut it off, I should say. Nine and a half inches. Follow the line, speed it up. The hole is drilled to this point here. So I'm taking the saw to break my top from my bottom, and it's just about at the spot, so it doesn't take much to get it off, as you can see. And there's all that squeaky stuff. So now I have my blank bottom, which is 9.5 inches tall. And I have my top. So while I've got this in the lathe, I'm going to turn my top. At the same time, I have to make it the diameter of the top, which is 1 1/16. And I also have to put a holder in the bottom. So I want this to fit in the base. We'll turn this. Safe side, we want to try this to see if it fits. Voila. So I still have to make this end fit in, so I'm going to indent it with this tool. A little skewer, test my piece. Fits in there nice. So now, I just have to make this a little longer. And flush square to the bottom, and that's done. want to penetrate that at least 2 inches, and that looks fine. This will eventually go to my smaller lathe, but we'll set it there for now. Take the chuck off. It fits the end of the hole, 1 1/16. That fits right on the end of 1 1/16. You can get aggressive with it at the start because it's a solid piece still, but once it's turned, you don't want to be pushing as hard as I did there. Still have a little issue there, but nothing serious. Now, I've got to make sure it's round. Sometimes that hole comes out just off center a bit, which it did, not much. Work. I'm just going to check that spot. If I had a different piece of wood, it would have been a little bit nicer. Kind of the shape I chose because I had that big knot in the middle. Juniper is funny that way. I could have selected a little nicer piece of wood, but you can see the cavity there is still there. But that can be just filled with some resin and sawdust from the thing. The same thing that's going to happen here, because I don't want to make this any smaller. But it's the shape it's going to be. I have to square this hole up because my end was too small. I had too much problem with this wood here, so I didn't go deep enough, and I have to make this at least a ½ an inch deep on the bottom, so I have to put that in there, my bit that drilled the hole, just to support the because now this other tip isn't in the way, or live center it's called, is in the way. So now I just want to clean that up. Now I'm going to rough sand it. There's a couple of little spots where these knots were, where it takes a little more sandpaper. Normally I wouldn't start with a 60, but sandpaper is easy to use. And this is a 400 grit, just on a spinning wheel that just takes some of those horizontal sand marks out. Next we move to the smaller lathe because of the smaller chuck, fits the fit-in end. So we put that in place and tighten it up. As close to the wood as possible, making a round top. I think that's it. Now that we've got our pieces built, we have the kit to grind the pepper. First of all, take the little holder, stem holder, put it in there. Next is the stem. Put the grinder part on top of it. And the other part is the grinder part. The spring. Sit that in place. Little stopper at the bottom so the spring doesn't push it to the out. And one. Two. The little insert that we made in there, I've already put that in. It has to be screwed in place. That holds it in place. Push her down and put the screw back on top. And now all you have to do is slap some finish on it, and that's how you make a pepper mill. Until next time, happy woodworking.